now. Um,
Okay.
I have met all of you before. I'm Karen DuBois. I'm your national sponsor. And I don't know, but there's a chance that Catherine Boss might jump on the phone to join us for a little bit, but I'm not certain. And she's the Alpha Core coordinator. So she's the regional coordinator you fall under. So before we get started, I'd just like to bow our head in prayer. Dear Lord, we just thank you for allowing us to gather today, um, coast to coast. And Lord, we just ask that you bless our time together, allow us to get through some of the details and become grounded not only in Kappa Phi, but grounded in you and what you want us to be as your disciples. Lord, we just ask that the Holy Spirit work through all of us, and we are just so thankful that we are indeed sisters in Christ. All this I pray in your holy Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
So the first thing I'm going to do is just a little activity with you, just to check to see if we're on the same page. So I believe you should have a paper in front of you, and whether you use a pen or pencil. The trick in this activity is you're not allowed to ask me any questions.
Okay.
So you can write anywhere on your paper that um, but I'm going to give you instructions to draw some items on your paper. So the first thing I would like you to put on your paper is a half circle. And how about a full moon? Four humps. Four humps. Half ring. A half ring. A stick with a curve. An explanation point. That should be easy. Maybe. The letter U. A circle with a line. Okay, now listen carefully. A tic-tac-toe board minus two lines. A tally mark. A hoop. The letter N. N as in Nancy. Okay, can you hold some of them up to the screen so I can see what you wrote? You'll have to go a little closer because I can't.
Just come up and do it. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see that?
Yep.
I don't know what
Okay. 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 Huh. Okay. So, can you kind of show each other what you did? Because interesting, I gave you all the same directions, and I don't see any ones that look identical. There's some commonality, but none of them look identical. So I was spelling the word communication.
Oh.
U-S-I-C-C-A. Which one would be the A?
The circle with the line.
Oh.
What's T?
The tic-tac-toe minus 2 lines.
Oh, so it will be like this and this. Oh. I could be the exclamation point or the stick.
Yeah.
And then the O, full moon. Or the hoop.
Yep.
And the N. Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
So part of the reason I do this exercise with you is, one, to really prove.
I just lost you.
Uh-oh.
She's down at the bottom.
Can you still hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
But
you
I
just
lost
can't see me.
I lost your video for some reason.
That is right there next to the trash can.
I'm still showing on my screen.
There we
Oh,
go.
what's that?
Okay, wait a minute. No, that's the App Store.
Well, I'm on keep talking if you don't see me. I'm on, but the reason I do this exercise is because it proves that the best communication is two-way communication. I forced you not to be allowed to ask questions. And that is not a good thing to do.
Okay.
So the other thing is that as we all hear different things, we start interpreting things ourselves. And in this setting, it's best. Uh-oh, I'm hearing feedback now.
Oh, there it is.
Right there. Hang on. Oh. Okay. Let her just keep talking then.
Yeah, I've now lost you on the webcam, but that's okay. There you are. So the other thing with communication is, especially you as the executive board, you need to know what each other are working on, because you come together as the main leaders of your organization. So as I say this, for example, why I am the national sponsor, our national president, Jennifer Hovis, she knows I'm meeting with you. She knows my agenda. She knows what I'm presenting to you. Afterwards, I'm going to be telling her. So I'm not doing anything without the rest of my board knowing. So that's the same thing I encourage you ladies, that while you're doing things individually as officers, you really need to keep your board informed, because you're doing it as a unit and it really reflects what you're doing. Is there any questions about that?
No.
Well, I think that is some of the issues we're having right now, is that some of us are making decisions or doing things. We aren't communicating with each other really well, and so I think that your example is really, I think, a good example for us.
And that's easy to do, because you're excited about what you're working on. You want to go out and run and get gung-ho, but it's like, but you have to keep in mind the bigger picture, and just know that um, high functioning teams do their best when they're working as a team, not when you work as an individual. And that's our goal for you, is to truly be a high functioning chapter of Kappa Phi. I want to go on and I'm going to talk about a little bit of terminology now, but as I continue on with some of the other areas, terminology will be hit in a variety of places. But the biggest thing that I just want to remind you is that Kappa Phi is not a sorority. Now, we do many similar things as a sorority, including having a Greek name. And it's the easiest way in conversation to explain what you are if you say we're similar to a sorority. But I want to urge you not to use the word sorority in print. By all means, you can use it in your conversations. I will tell you, because there have been a couple of chapters, and I don't think this is the case with yours, but there are a couple of chapters that even though we are not a sorority, the college has grouped Kappa Phi with sororities. And in those particular cases, when like in the student handbook of the university and on a few of the flyers that you see on social media, sorority might be used, but it's not used specifically by things created by Kappa Phi. And let me just again reiterate, in case you forget, what some of the major differences are. In Kappa Phi, the person chooses to join. We don't choose our members. So your membership should be open to anyone who shares similar beliefs of our organization. We do not own any housing, so we don't have a sorority house. Now, that doesn't mean that people are not roommates, suite mates, and so forth, but we do not own property because we truly believe in order to be lights in the darkness, we are out within the community. The other thing is primarily the cost. Many sororities are up to $500 a year to join, and we try to keep our costs minimal. Not that we're necessarily frugal, but we want to keep it affordable for everyone. And in fact, from the national standpoint, the portion of dues that comes to us, if someone cannot afford that, they can actually apply for a scholarship, and we help provide that. So those are some of the big things there. I will tell you, interesting enough, the last two colleges that we tried to get into have turned us down because they thought the presentation was too Greek life, too much like a sorority, and they turned us down. That was sad.
Were those in California by any chance?
One was in California, yes.
Is that one Biola?
They did not accept us, but they did not accept us because we are a national organization. So they are actually going to start their own Christian group there, but it won't be Kappa Phi, and it will be specific to their school only.
Good.
I will tell you though, we're still working with them and giving them encouragement and guidance. So we're saddened by their decision, but we told Cheris that we would work with her as she continues on with the direction given to her by the college, as long as she needs us. So I'm
Hey, Karen.
Yeah.
This is Catherine. I just wanted to know I was here.
Oh, hey, Catherine. I told him you might be piping in and listening in with us for a while.
Yeah, I came on about 10 minutes ago. You were just finishing up talking about working as a team.
Oh, cool.
I didn't want to interrupt to jump in though.
So I'm going to jump over to the website. Are you guys able to still see my screen?
Yep.
And now by doing this, I'm not able to see you, but I can still hear you, which is fine. I'd like to know, honestly, if, especially you as a board, have you been through looking at everything that's out here on our website?
Honestly, guys.
As a board, no.
Individually, have you?
Yeah. Oh, individually.
And as a board?
No, it's not.
Did you hear the answer?
Okay, so
yes, as a board.
So it sounds like some of you have individually, but you have not necessarily looked at it together. And I would encourage you at some point in time to also look at it together, because I think if you look at it together, it will also allow you to springboard some ideas and conversations. So I'm going to go through and just hit a few things here. First of all, we have a service challenge. Have you guys logged any service hours from last year to current?
No, they haven't. You haven't.
But you have done some service projects, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I really need you to try to figure out how many hours you have done as a chapter and log those hours. At this point in time, you can log them all together. You don't have to do it individually. There's a place where you can make a comment and you can list out what they were. But if you would do that, because as you see here, we're trying to meet a goal for our 100th anniversary challenge. And we're still a little shy of that. And you're not the only ones who haven't logged anything, and that's what we're trying to get people to do. So if you could
normally we would individually do it though, right?
Normally, if it's done as a chapter activity, someone from your chapter should be logging it. But if you are doing service hours individually, then you would log them as an individual.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to go to calendar.
Hang on, we have one person leaving the room, so
okay.
Can you hang on?
Yep.
No. So in other chapters, who actually does the logging? Does it matter? It doesn't really matter. Just assign somebody, huh?
It doesn't matter. It depends on the size of the chapter. Some chapters actually have a service chairman who does it. Some chapters assign the secretary to do it. Some chapters assign the vice president to do it. Those are typically the three, although some have also, because it's online, they have a social media person and she does everything online, even this type of thing.
Okay, we're back now. So you can go on.
Okay. So what I pulled up here is calendar. And this is again on the website. And this is October. And so have you guys sent in your chapter program book?
They're all looking at me blankly.
So I take that as a no. So let me go. And the chapter program book is the responsibility of the vice president. And I have one here. Nope, not that one. I have to move my things around here. Oh, here it is. So I'm going to show you an example of a program book that's from this year. This is done by our chapter at Kent State in Ohio. And so our year theme is Discover Whose You Are. The chapter handbook is created and every member should have access to it. Especially your new pledges. It's a way for them to really start to know about Kappa Phi. This book is then also submitted online, and when it's submitted online, it comes to myself, it comes to Catherine, it goes to our national program director for a way for us to be evaluating if you are planning your meetings in advance, because they'll be out there. If you are looking at our 4 pillars and making sure that your programming is not heavily in one pillar versus kind of balanced between the 4. But let me continue through here. So they include the theme statement, as well as the theme verse from the Bible and the song.
Because I always hear a little bit better out of this year.
And then in theirs, they gave some history about Kappa Phi, about where it started. They included the philosophy of Kappa Phi and the purpose, as well as the mission statement.
They're really good.
Whoever else is on the line, mute their speaker or whatever.
Catherine, I'm going to mute you.
Oh, that's fine. I can mute myself. Hold on.
Okay.
Thank you.
As well as our colors and symbols. Here they do a visual reminder of making sure they knew what the 4 pillars are. They then talk about membership and win dues. And you can see at this particular school, yearly dues are $120 or $60 per semester. And I thought was actually interesting. A $10 discount is given yearly if they're paid in full during the fall semester. So, and also getting that money up front really helps with cash flow. They reiterate the national Kappa Phi alcohol policy, which truly states that no alcohol should be served at any functions. And that includes a function if you were to do it with another organization. If they were to serve alcohol, you are not to be there as a Kappa Phi function. I mean, if you're old enough and you choose to go yourself, that's one thing, but not as a Kappa Phi function. Then we have the social networking guidelines. Again, this is as a national organization.
Hey, Karen.
Yes.
Not to interrupt, but just something I thought of, especially I think now in the days of social media, that the alcohol policy, as well as any of the other kind of behavior type things with Kappa Phi, extend to individuals as well in terms of be careful when you're wearing your letters.
Well, there should be there should be no alcohol consumed while you have a Kappa Phi letters on.
That it extends well beyond just the organization, but as individuals, especially I know because a lot of us now have a lot of the jewelry and things, and sometimes it's easy to forget that you're wearing it. So it's just something to always be aware of as an individual when you're making those decisions.
Um, the other thing is, especially as officers, I would also be careful of what you say and what you post online. Um, and regardless if you have letters on or not, um, you're always reflecting Kappa Phi. So if you end up having a grand old party and got drunk and you're posting pictures of you stumbling around, that doesn't reflect well on yourself or our organization or as a follower of Christ. Um, Also in your program book is a budget. Have you guys created a budget for this school year?
No.
Okay, so that's something that um, need not only is it part of the program book, but a budget is required to turn into our national treasure. And the purpose of the budget is um, not to necessarily nitpick on how you're spending your money and how you're making your money, but it is looking at it again to make sure it's balanced between the four pillars. That why you always want to have a nice function. The majority of your budget should not be on decorations. I can tell you that um, a month after your event, people are not going to remember what you wore or what decorations you had, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. So your money really should go towards those types of programming efforts that are going to be memorable from how you made your members feel. But this is an example. They are planning on 3 fundraisers for the year. They're planning on having their returning members and recruitment, and then their expenses. They have in here everything from recruitment week to the degrees to giving money for people to go to get together, to recognizing their sponsor. I will tell you their spring formal is in here. However, formals, they have to show their expenses, but that expense is not covered by membership dues. They can do a fundraiser to help with a formal, or you can charge admission, but no part of your membership dues can go towards a formal. And then most important thing is to make sure that with your budget that you have enough money. And here they had money left over from last year with what they plan to make and then what they plan to spend. And if everything works out, they'll still have money for following year. The one thing that's not in here for them is council expense. And that is definitely something that you guys would have some expense for next summer to travel out to Ohio for council. In addition, they put the National Executive Board information so everyone knows how to contact us. We're not here for just the select few. Anyone can contact us. They are part of Zeta Cora. Instead, you would have the Alpha Cora board. And then they put in their own exec board and how to get a hold of them. So this is really good for pledges and new members. Also, their sponsor information. And then they list all of their active members. Many times our chapters have our pledges interview the current active members as a way to get to know them through that pledging process. And so this would help them be able to contact them outside of meeting times. And then again, the great thing is most of these are online now. And so as you get pledges during that specific school year, you can add their information right on and still have it. They shared what other chapters were in their Cora, as well as alumni chapters within their Cora. But then here's where we start really looking at National Board. We start seeing what are their calendar of events for this school year. So they started out primarily focused on Rush and getting people to join. So then they have month by month exactly what day, what time, what's the program. They could have done a little better job with knowing who's in charge. Sometimes they did it. Here you see Ashley and Jen. But this should be coming out. You guys should have this to really be able to plan ahead and know. You can see their degrees are on here. They had a sisterhood meeting, National Service Week with a service project. So they have on here not only local events, but national events as well as dues, so that they know exactly. Continue on, they're having a craft night, Bible study. So they're doing a really good job making sure those 4 pillars are happening. And then Yule-log. And have you guys started talking about Yule-log yet?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have that set as a date yet?
Yeah.
Any plans at all? No?
Yeah. It's December 3rd.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear when.
December 9th.
Okay, perfect. So but the great thing about this is that it's all in one place for all of your members to be able to go and know what's coming up, what's expected. Now, in some cases, some chapters will have everything planned for first semester, and then typically by the end of November, they have everything planned for second semester. Now, when I say everything planned, I don't necessarily mean the details, but they have the calendar plan. They'll know what date, what time, what location, and then they're still working on the event itself to come along.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Is that when we do plan, it doesn't need to be like set in stone type of thing? It's still subject to change, but the initial like planning of when the event is going to be is there?
I mean, some chapters will get together at the end of the school year before they leave, and they will plan out the entire school year right there. Mm-hmm. Other chapters will plan out first semester, and then as they get into first semester and they have pledges and new members, they will then include them and plan out second semester. But for the most part, all of your events really should be on your calendar a good 2 months plus in advance. That way, you're able to kind of enjoy what's going on. You're not always just trying to rush and go through the motions. You're able to enjoy what's going on. People know what to expect. then you can decide whether you want committees to work on it or what, but then you're able to get out the publicity if publicity is needed. But it's really just trying to stay on top of the organization so that the communication's better and not rushed and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's just say, like, during the year, what we do have planned is too much. Are we able to deduct things and add things?
Absolutely. And that's one of the other things. If you were to go back and look, I'm not many of their programs happen once a week. So, meaning that when they come together for a meeting, they're doing a Bible study during the meeting. They're not necessarily doing Bible study multiple times a week. They're doing a service project during the meeting. It doesn't always include an extra day here or there. So that's the one thing that when you say planning too much, I would ask you to kind of consider, because every time you come together for a meeting, there should be a program. That's why you're coming together for. So some of your programs are happening truly during your meeting time. Some of them you need a little more time than what you can do then, and they're going to expand. But if you're meeting more than 3 days a week, you're probably on major overload, because as I look at a college student today, they're involved in multiple activities. Their course load is quite heavy, and just trying to get everything done. So if you're meeting more than 3 times a week, you probably need to cut back. Otherwise, you're going to end up and not only burn out as an officer trying to plan all this stuff, but you're going to burn out as a member as well.
So right now, we meet as an all Kappa group once a month on a Saturday morning. And then what we were doing was the cabinet was meeting every other week, twice a month. And how long should those meetings be? And how should we be meeting more as a whole group?
Most of our chapters meet as a whole group weekly, once a week. You are required to at least meet between once and twice a month, but most of them meet weekly. Most of them meet weekly, and that weekly meeting is anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes, depending on what's going on. The executive board is required to meet at least once a month. However, most chapters, again, meet weekly for executive board as well. And it kind of depends on what's happening. Some of those executive board meetings can be as quick as 30 minutes. And some of them, they decide to do a little more planning in them as well. And they and more have it not just as an executive board, but as kind of as a work group, which can be longer, but typically 30 minutes, 60 minutes tops, depending on what's on your schedule and how much things have to be reported. But again, if you're coming together to build your calendar together, you don't really have surprises. You know what's happening, and so that means your board meeting can go much quicker and smoother.
Thank you.
I have another question too, Karen. You
Yeah.
talked about having
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
you talked about having service projects during the meetings.
Yeah.
How do others do that?
Let me switch out of here for a moment and let me see if I still have. We've had some past workshops on 30-minute service projects, and I'm trying to think. You know what? It's on my other computer. What I can do is forward you guys some ideas, but you could do any. A couple of them that come to my mind is making fleece blankets. I'm sure you've seen those, and then many people have donated those either at a children's hospital or at a women's shelter. You could go around campus and collect food for a food drive. If you divide up, you're really only half hour. You can collect quite a bit of food. But there are some fairly simple projects that don't necessarily have to cost a lot of money that you're able to do that still is very outward giving. So I'm going to write myself a note, though, here. So go ahead.
Because what we've been doing as a chapter for service projects in regards to last year, we did one at the Ronald McDonald House where we served the inhabitants of the house, and then the second one was volunteering at the Colorado House here in Fresno. It's like a homeless shelter, and that I think the big struggles that we had with those two was that they just required a lot of planning, and a lot of big organizations don't accept more than 10 or 15. So then a lot of our girls are kind of discounted. But this, I guess, helps us a lot because I didn't even think about doing simpler ones like making the blankets and collecting the food.
I mean, this time of the year, a popular one many chapters are doing is shoe boxes for Operation Christmas Child.
You know what? We're doing that as a whole university at the Thanksgiving luncheon that we had. And so, if you guys are interested, I could ask them for a couple of the shoe boxes because they're getting them ahead of time. In fact, we potentially could do it at our next meeting. What you put in there is, sorry, Karen, I'm going on.
Oh no, that's fine. My son and I just did ours this morning.
Yeah, like what you put in it, toothpaste and soaps and things like that, a little toy, maybe a book or two, little items for a child that get shipped to a child in need.
Oh, I just watched a video like that this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. So what other things did you put in your box, Karen?
We typically always have a tablet of paper and pencils and crayons, scissors. Then we put socks and gloves, a washcloth, and then we always have a couple toys.
Okay.
Do we have to wrap the shoebox?
No, what happens is it's through Billy Graham. And so actually the gal is picking up the actual boxes from them. And so it's already been coordinated on campus here, so I could just call her and tell her, if we can talk about this after this meeting, if that's something we want to do, then we could contact our new pledges and ask them, tell everybody to bring, we can have a list of potential items or whatever. Let's go to Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we went.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, so those other projects you mentioned are absolutely fantastic, but I think as you learn, they take a lot of coordination, and it's hard to involve everyone. So I'll send you some other ideas. Your projects don't have to be that elaborate. I will tell you, most of the chapters, if they have an elaborate service project, it's like one a year. The rest of them, It's even as simple as baking cookies and taking them to your fire department,
Right.
as a thank you to them.
I think the other thing, Karen.
One of our members had come up with an idea of doing something for veterans. So there's those boxes for veterans too that we could potentially do, and so there's a lot of, I think, places that would welcome that kind of project.
Yes, some of the chapters
Karen.
also create little bags of items, and they hand out to the panhandlers.
We also have a senior citizens, we have a long-term care facility behind us that we potentially could do something and take it over there too. That would be another thing that we could do. Great, thank you.
What was you going to say, Catherine?
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think what I have found in recent years, and it was kind of true even back when I was with Beta Theta when we started at A&M, and especially as a newer chapter, because you're not as established on the campus, and even just the chapter itself is still getting established in terms of contacts and things, is that a lot of our chapters will do a combination of things. And so, at Texas A&M, there's a couple of big events. There's one that's literally called the Big Event that happens in the spring. And then I think in the fall, one of the big things that happens is Special Olympics. And so the chapter at A&M participates as an organization in both of those things, which allows them as an organization to do kind of a, quote, bigger service project, but it is less in terms of logistics and finances and things like that, because they are really adding their efforts to what the university has already kind of created. And then they also do a lot of those smaller service projects like Karen was talking about during like the regular meeting time. So it creates kind of a nice balance, because I think sometimes what happens with service is that we kind of get in our head that the service project always has to be a big service project. And we think of those like Saturday all day commitment kind of things. And like Karen said, those get hard to do after a while for lots of reasons. And so I think a lot of the organizations lately, a lot of the chapters try really hard to kind of latch on to something that maybe the university is doing that they can be a part of as a group, and then they can also do some of their own things that maybe are a little bit smaller scale, and it's kind of a good balance between the two. So that's the other thing that I've seen a lot of lately, especially with a lot of the chapters in Alpha Cora.
Right.
The other thing that should be in your program book, and that you as a chapter should have, are 3 or 4 chapter goals. Now, again, these are the goals that the chapter at Kent State created. I'm not saying that these should be your goals, but I would suggest that one of your goals, being a new chapter, would be to, I don't know the exact wording, I hadn't thought that far in advance, but really just submerge yourself in the Kappa Phi to know as much as you can, to be well grounded. Most chapters have some kind of recruitment goal, and then the others just kind of vary. But you should have some goals that you're having in there, and again, that's submitted to us at Nationals to understand. Rolene, do you have access to this that I'm showing right now on the Google Drive, all the information on programming for this year's theme?
No. This is Google. Oh, yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, then so let me do that as well. I'm making a note right now. Okay, so the great thing here is the National Programming Committee, which includes the National Program Director, all the Cora officers for programming, as well as our national chaplain. They create each year a multitude of different programs already ready for you to use in your chapter. So I'm just going to click on some of them. So here is Bible studies. And these are Bible studies that you should be able to do in roughly an hour or less. Some of them are devotions, some of them are Bible studies. Again, talking an hour or less. Some fellowship ideas they went through. Of course, fellowship's easy, but fellowship ideas here. But let me go back here. I'm going to go to forms in a moment. Ideas for fundraising. They include there are some service ideas here. So even bake sale, food drive, we mentioned Operation Christmas Child happens to be on here. Writing letters, animal shelters. Sometimes that one becomes tricky. Some of them make you want to go through a training process, but reading to the elderly. I mean, if you end up and have nursing homes nearby, elderly loves visits, and something like that is really special. And then there's also worship. These are actually worship programs. Sometimes chapters get hung up on worship because we try to figure out worship is only singing. It's not. So there's different ideas here that you can easily do. Caden, can you answer phone? Sorry about that. There is a whole thing here, Rolane, just calling you out because of the program book, but this will have all the other things that need to be in the program book. So the alcohol policy, social networking, all of that is right here. So again, I'll make sure. The other thing is some forms. Council registration form is already out there. I'm not sure why this mission trip form got put here. I'll talk about that in a second. But there is also new this year a grant that if you have anyone who is considered a new alum that is working in an area of service, can apply for a grant that's being given from Kappa Phi every other year at council, and it would go to the organization of the person working there. So that is something new. This council will be the first time that we provide that. That mission trip right there, just so you know, that was one that was supposed to have happened last summer. We are working on a mission trip 2018 that's going to be in the San Felipe area, so just south of San Diego. And yes, I know my accent's terrible. I butchered that, but but hey, it's not too far away for you guys to come down and join us. So I kind of got off on program books because we were looking at the chapter deadlines. Service Week, National Service Week, is always the third full week of October, always. Also out on our calendar are a number of online workshops we do. And I know it's difficult for you guys to join live because of the time difference, but all of our online workshops are recorded and you can go back and listen to them either individually or as a group. So Cassie Bukowski just did an awesome workshop on overcoming procrastination. And it is out on the web. I'll show you in a few minutes where you can find it, but it's something that if you want to take a listen to. None of our workshops go over an hour. Typically, they run between 30 and 40 minutes. So, dues. Have you guys been able to collect fall dues yet?
We're in the process. We just sent, Liana just brought the sheet up, and we just sent it off to National. We paid our dues, so monthly. So we have enough in our savings or in our treasury to be able to pay for that. So some of our girls, most of them are not fully. I'll just say, none are fully paid yet. But
Okay.
by the end of each month, our members are supposed to be making their payments.
Okay, so we do have the dues information out here when they're due, as well as you'll see here a prayer call. We have monthly prayer calls, and that's with Tiffany Wessler, our national chaplain. And it's just a time that we get together via the phone, and then also have a time to pray together for any needs or praises. Just a reminder, if you have any people graduating this semester, that you need to submit their information for their free alumni membership and also give them the degree of the rose. Also coming up,
We'll have people next semester.
okay. Also coming up here on December 1st is a fireside chat. And that is a chance where Jennifer Hovis will jump online. There's really no agenda. And again, Jennifer's our national president, and she's simply available to talk. So if there's anything going on.
What time is that? That's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, and it's 9 p.m. Eastern time.
So it's 6 p.m. here.
Yes. So, and the link and everything is right here, whether you join via computer or if you call in. We typically do not record those because it's truly a time to talk with Jennifer, and because we don't have an agenda, we don't know if anything's going to be sensitive or not. So we typically do not record those, just if you tried to look for them.
And are those open to all members?
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
All members. The other thing, I just want to go back here because I want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and show you the group from Kent State again. So their portion of the website, they have some pictures, but they have this write-up that tells when they meet, where they meet, and how to contact them. What also happens is currently the national calendar shows up, but if they were to submit any local events, their local events would show up here. Now, I show this to you because then I want to go back here. And then you guys have some beautiful pictures, but it would be great if you consider adding some information about your chapter. How to contact you, where to meet. We always end up in this area, use the sponsor as the contact of the website. And the reason we do that is typically the sponsor's going to stay put for a few years while the members are coming and going. It's not the sponsor's responsibility to respond back. If there's an inquiry necessary, she would pass it on to the appropriate officer, but we typically have the sponsor as the contact there. But
we have a whole bunch of new pictures.
And this is our page specific to our chapter.
Yes, this is your portion of the national website. So, you can, I'll show you here in a moment where you can go to update it. But yeah, and in your materials, you then can put www.capify.com/chapter/beta new in. That way they can go directly to this portion and see your page. So, how do you guys know how to get in the members only area of the webpage?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm already in, so it didn't ask me for a password or anything, so I just wanted to make sure. That is something to make sure that your new pledges all know as well. And again, it's simply for you beta new with the space, and that's both your username and your password to get in. So want to just go through a couple things. Jennifer Hovis has started sending out her message to all executive board members. Are all of you guys getting her message?
Her email?
Yes, her emails. Okay. If there's ever an issue, they're also posted here under President's message.
I know I've tried to look at our specific chapter page because I submitted a couple pictures and I tried to submit some information, but it didn't seem to like update on our end, or I just haven't seen some of the things that we turned in.
Okay.
Like the picture.
A couple things with pictures, just to make sure. With pictures, we need to make sure that there is a photo release on file. So one of the things you may want to do, then you're covered, is simply make sure that we have a photo release from all of your members, and then incorporate getting that as they pledge. That way we know that we have permission to put any and all pictures out there.
Do you have a sample photo release that you could send us?
Yes, I will send that as well.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Michelle did that last semester for our girls, but not, we haven't, I mean, last year. We turned in photo releases once, but
Yes.
Let me put that on our agenda for next week's meeting, for the Alpaca meeting. We can show them how to get into the website, the password, all that. We can do the photo release, and we can get the photos.
So I'm just going to go through a couple things here. Under programming, you can see here's where you submit a number of things. You can submit the program book electronically. If it gets too big of a file, then you can simply email it. But we should also be getting evaluations from each of your programs, whether it's a meeting or an event. Then if I truly click on programming, it's going to, again, all those other links are over on the left-hand side, but you're going to see the theme statement, verse, and song again. Under recruitment and pledge,
Karen,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can you go back a second real quick to programming? And maybe you said this and I just missed it. Did you say anything about the fall progress report?
No.
Because that's coming up.
No.
Okay.
Good point. The fall progress report is out here and it is due next month. And this is something that you should do together as an executive board. So we prefer not to get it from one person, because they tend to be slanted from that person's only opinion. So we prefer if the entire board, and that's
And if I could just make a suggestion as you're filling that progress report out, is to know that that progress report is reviewed every so often to make sure that we're still asking questions that are relevant and, adding things and tweaking things. So sometimes what will happen, and this happens more when one person does it as opposed to when the group does it, be careful when you're filling out the progress report that all of the questions are applicable to your group. So sometimes we'll get them and there'll be places where somebody might say not applicable or there's just no answer at all. Please try to answer every question, even if you answer the question with a question. So, if you read the question and you're like, I'm not sure that we have that, or I'm not sure how that, I don't know what to say, but give us some idea of, did you just, was the answer no, or was it just that maybe the question you weren't sure what it meant? Because just leaving it blank or saying it's not applicable, then it's hard for us to then be able to help you guys and give you good feedback. So try to answer everything, even if it's just to say, I don't know what the question's asking, because then we can try to get you some more information to help you out with that. So just my 2 cents.
I have another question. If we were to do the fall progress report via SurveyMonkey, which is, it's anonymous, and then do the overview of that gives you all the specific answers, we can print each one out. Would that be acceptable? Then
you can gather the information however you want, and definitely the more people that have an opportunity to give their feedback, the better information we're going to get. So however your chapter chooses to do that, in some chapters, if you want to do it that way, that's not a bad idea at all. And the main thing is just know that the progress report can be submitted electronically. So however you get the information and compile it is really whatever works better for your chapter. And then you'll just need to make sure that you can put that information, into that online form. But yeah, however you guys want to go about doing it, the main thing, like Karen said, is just to make sure it's not 1 or 2 people doing it.
So
we want more information.
You were saying all the executive board should fill out the fall progress report. Should that be rolled out to everybody? Or no?
It doesn't have to be. Let me go back to the report here. When I say the executive board, I'm really talking together, not individually.
Okay.
Let me pull it back up here. But it's really taken an honest look. Some of it's numbers, how many returned. So what was your goal that you set at the end of last year for this year? Or what are your goals? So how would you rate participation? So poor, okay, super. And then we'd like you to explain any outstanding or exceptionally poor ratings. So if you're giving yourself ones somewhere, we like to know from you why. Why is this happening? Is there something we can do to help? How do you communicate with members? Describe what you've done so far in the fall semester. Talk a little bit about your recruitment. What kind of pre-planning were you doing? How have you used the national theme? And if you haven't yet, do you plan on using it next semester? What did you do for National Service Week or any other service projects? Have you listened to any online workshops, either live or recorded? So how's the relationship not only between your members but with your sponsor? Talk a little bit about your cabinet meeting, and do you keep in touch with your one and only alumni? And then if you've had people that surrendered their membership, we like to know. We like to know why. Unfortunately, as a national organization, we have seen that keeping members, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. So, and then we're always asking, how can we help you? Um, and and then of course we want to know if you know yet how many people might try to make the trip to council, and if you would like to be involved in council. Um, so it's really something that I don't think this is necessarily a form for all the individual members. I think, but you as a board can look at. Now, if you want at some point in time, many groups do the Survey Monkey themselves to try to evaluate very specific things. Are they enjoying the Bible study, or would they like to study a different topic? Are they coming to service projects? Why or why not? I mean, so does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that you guys pass this on to Andrea. There are lots of things out here, and I know she's been actively involved with Marissa because I've seen some of that out there, so I'm not worried about that. But there's a whole thing here for recruitment materials catalog. And so the other thing that's new, oh, we also have, oh, no, that's not what I was thinking. Well, now I can't find what I was thinking about, so I'll have to come back to that. But she will have a pledge coordinator survey coming up. And then there's also copies of the pledge handbook out here for training. On events, I'm going to just come to events here quickly. We already have some things out here for National Council that I'm excited about. We have secured as a featured speaker Nikki Koziar, and Nikki is a speaker with Proverbs 31 Ministries, and she is also an author of a New York Times best-selling book called The 5 Habits of a Woman Who Doesn't Quit. And she is coming to Ohio to speak to us. And I have the honor to volunteer with Proverbs 31 Ministries, and I can tell you, Nikki is a dynamite speaker, and it will be great having her. Also, we have secured Anna Gill-Lizette, who is one of our own alumnae, and she's going to be leading us in Bible studies throughout the week. And Anna actually graduated from Ohio Northern University, which is where I went to school as well. So she's a lot of fun. And
That's June 26th through July 1st, right?
Yes. And just to give you an idea of what council schedule looks like, why this is subject to change, this is kind of what it looks like. We come in Monday, and we start with a sponsor workshop over lunch. And then we open registration up for everyone. And then after dinner, we have a brand new themes presentation and Bible study. Tuesday is when Nikki Koziar is joining us, and we'll have active and alum meetings. And then we have workshops on both Tuesday and Wednesday. And then as you can see, business meetings, quorum meetings. Legion of Light is where we honor our members who are in full-time Christian service as their vocation. We will have service project that we either break down into groups and go out everywhere, or one big service project that's still being developed. We have what's called tour of rooms, and it's where you can decorate your dorm room with the various themes, and we actually have basically a parade to come around with judging and everything. Fun night. We do a lot of skits and so forth. There's going to be a rose run Friday morning for those of you who might be runners. We always do one of our national rituals at council, and this year together we will be doing meal in the upper room all together. And then, of course, part of our business is electing our new officers and installing them. And then we have a banquet where we give away all of our national awards. So that gives you a kind of an idea.
What is the cost for that?
Oh, hold on a second. We had a couple different costs, so I want to make sure I give you the right one. Because it was based on when. So it's $325. $100 needs to be put down by February 15th, and the remainder of that can be paid on site.
That's the registration. That's not transportation.
That is not transportation. There are some scholarships available to help cover this registration cost as well. So this is where, you know, we ask chapters to also do some fundraising. And then, like I said, there's also some money available for scholarships. We do for transportation, one active and the sponsor, we pay a mileage rate. So we would pay a mileage rate from Fresno to Westerville, Ohio, and back. And then as a chapter, you determine how you're going to use that money, but just know that that can be used to offset this, offset flight, offset gas. I mean, however, but we do do a per diem there for mileage.
Okay.
So I want to go back up here real quick. So finances, just want to make sure that you realize this is where all of your forms that are needed for your treasurer are here. And also there's some fundraising ideas, and there's another sample budget here. Then I want to just hit resources. Has anyone read the fall issue of the Candlebeam? So I just direct your attention. I'm not going to pull it up here, but all of our past Candlebeams, we typically have 4 issues out here at a time, but the one just completely celebrating our 100th anniversary is out there. There's lots of good information in there, so I just encourage you to, whether you take a time as a group or encourage people individually, to kind of look at it. It's also where you can find jewelry. If you want to use one of our formal logos, we have the artwork out here. Music, we have both music that is just background, and we also have music that is people helping to sing. And the thing
Well,
that I,
if we, I'm going to be honest, we feel like it's kind of cheesy, so can we just say the words
well,
to the song?
that's why I was just going to say is that if you're not comfortable with singing, I would definitely do it as a reading together.
Thank you.
Yeah. But the online workshops, this is where you'll find the recording, and it's right here for Cassie's workshop. Big one here is rituals, all the rituals that you need. The only one that's not out here is Degree of the Rose, because Degree of the Rose is secret. So Joan will have access to that right now, but no one else.
Can you confirm one of Degree of the Rose? So any member in good standing receives that. Is that correct when they graduate?
When they graduate, or if they transfer if they may transfer to another school, or they may end up and know that they're not returning to school at all. As long as they're a good member at that point in time, they can go through a Degree of the Rose.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on that. Thank you.
So out here is Yule log that you'll be doing coming up. I also know that as installation presents, you received candles, and those candles were for the Lord's Prayer service. So sometime during one of your regular meetings, that would be a great worship service to do together, and you have all the materials you need. Agape feast is also something you could do for worship. Then Easter time will be meal in the upper room, and you have that out here. And then since you don't have anyone graduating until spring.
Actually, we do have one person that will be graduating this December.
Okay, then you will want to make arrangements for them to do this Rose Bowl senior farewell, and that's open for everyone to listen, because what the member's going to do during this time is really talk about what Kappa Phi has meant to her, and that's open for everyone. And then you'll do the Degree of the Rose just for her, and that's only open for people who have already graduated.
So can we do the rose petal thing at the rose petal at the Yule log service?
Sure.
As a part of that?
Sure, if you want.
And can we do the Degree of the Rose? I know we pulled Rolane out. I mean, we pulled Michelle out last time, so we could probably do that night too, couldn't we?
Sure.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, so we try to put everything out on the website. But trust me, we may have forgotten something. So if you can't find something, let any one of us know, and we'll be happy to send it to you individually, or make sure that it's out here. And then how to contribute. So if you want to change the items for your chapter page, you just go here to contribute. If you want to see a spotlight on social media from your group, you can contribute. Or if you want to contribute to the website at large, maybe
a fundraising idea or something like that.
Yes, thank you. So there's links here, and I will tell you, none of those things go directly to the site. They go to our web person first, and then she puts them out there. So don't think that it's an instant thing happening. So I'm going to check our agenda here real quick, because we've been on here for an hour and a half real quick. So one of the things we also want to do is talk about coming out for a workshop. And what we do, and this isn't because you guys are in trouble or anything, far from it, but what we do is after a chapter gets installed, our goal is within the very next school year that we come back out on site and do either a workshop, a retreat, or something, just to make sure that now that you're kind of on your own and you're trying to figure everything out, we just want to make sure that you're continuing to not only grow as your chapter, but you're continuing to grow within Kappa Phi and what we serve and how we serve God. And so we want to try to figure out a couple of different times that might work, that there would be two of us coming out. I can't say who yet until we see those dates, but we would surely send two people out from either the national board and or someone from the core board to come out to California and spend the day with you.
Cool. So do you guys have any ideas on dates? Or
Would you prefer this semester or next semester?
We don't have a preference, but we need at least a month's notice so that we can have the best airfare available to us.
so we all closed down. Final exams are on December 15th.
Well, then it's probably be next semester, because we don't want to come out when you're trying to study as well for your exams. When do you guys start back up?
The 9th.
January 9th. Spring break is March 6th through 10th. I can tell you that.
So if you take a look, I think obviously at this point it needs to be second semester. Just like I said, because we have our own budget we're dealing with, and we prefer to get the best flights.
So at our executive board meeting, and we can talk with the group. Our meetings next week are all Kappa and whatever. We can look at some dates and send them to you.
Yes.
Would that be okay?
That would be fabulous. And again, just like when we've been out there twice before, our expenses are paid from the national organization, so you don't have to worry about our flights, hotel, or anything like that. We're covered.
Okay.
So, is there any other questions at this point? Come on.
What's your cat's name?
Which one?
I don't know.
What color did you see?
Orangey, beigey, orangey.
That was Trickster. We have 5 cats.
5 cats.
Yes.
Questions? Any questions, anybody?
Comments? Did this help at all?
Yeah.
While you're still online, I want to say to the group that I apologize if I've been a bit intense lately, especially with Lorraine. I have felt like Kappa Phi is so important, and it has felt like we've just been kind of loosey-goosey doing our thing. And I'll be honest, I talked to Karen about this, that I can't remain a sponsor if we don't get our act together. I just have been, because I think Kappa Phi is so important. And so I want to apologize to all of you if I've come across as being a bit intense. I know I have been. I've been frustrated, Karen, and a little bit too, that we've had some gossiping and other stuff going on. And I want Kappa Phi to be the best. And I think it has to start with us. And it's not about any one of us. It's not about me. That was my reminder from the Lord this morning as I read my scripture. that it's not about me, it's about honoring God. And that honoring God has to start with this group as leaders. And so I really thank you, Karen, for this opportunity to revisit this. It's been a good reminder for me. And
Well, I have just a couple other things real quick before I close this in prayer. So here's what I wrote down. I wrote down that I owe you guys three things. The service ideas that might be 30 minutes or less. To make sure Rolane has access to the programming stuff on the Google Drive. And to make sure that you guys have the photo release form so any pictures and everything can be posted. In addition, I made a side note, Joan, just to make sure you have the degree of the rose.
got it.
Then, based on what I've heard, I have a couple other questions and just a couple recommendations. I would recommend that you try to have everyone review the handbook and constitution at some point. And when I say everyone, first of all, your pledges should be doing that during their pledge training. So sometime during their pledge training, they should do that. But I personally, with you guys being so new, I would recommend everyone doing that. But ongoing, I would recommend every time you change officers that you sit down and review both the handbook and constitution. A couple reasons. One, the Constitution gets updated every other year at council. The handbook can be updated every year. It's updated by the National Executive Board. So if you don't take the time to review that, you might miss out on some changes. Why we talked a little bit about who's graduating, I didn't ask, are all of your officers still going to be on campus for next semester?
No, we have a couple. We have 3 that are going to study in Washington, D.C. 3, right? Yeah, 3.
Okay.
So it'll be Mariana and Andrea. So we have so there's 3.
Okay, so you need to be figuring out now then, because unfortunately while they can still be members of Kappa Phi, they're not going to be able to do their office, their responsibilities. I think you said Washington, D.C. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do your responsibilities from Washington, D.C. for the chapter back in California. So you need to be thinking about if you're going to hold a special election, since there's 3 people to get them in. And I would encourage you to try to do that probably at least 3 weeks before the end of the semester, so that there's enough time to really work with that person and understand where it is, so there's not a gap. Also, at the beginning of next semester, I would encourage you to have people start thinking about if they want to run for an office for the following year. And even if they indicated that they're interested, perhaps allow them to sit on one of your executive board meetings so that they can see how it runs, and even allow someone to shadow people. And know that just because they said that they're interested doesn't mean that they're guaranteed that they're going to be elected for that position.
So there is the process that's outlined in the book, an active chapter handbook that we can use for that.
And in the Constitution.
And in the Constitution.
Yes, because what you should be doing is having a nominating committee created that truly reviews the, in essence, the application of the people and they would help create the slate of officers. Now,
Okay.
that does not mean that a person, if they're not slated, doesn't mean that they can't run. It just means they have to be elected from the floor.
Got it. Yeah, I saw that in the Constitution.
Yes, and that's how we do the core officers and the national officers as well. So I know, I hope I haven't overwhelmed you guys today. So hopefully after today, though, you might feel that there's some things that need to be reviewed. But hopefully as you go out there and look, our biggest thing is keep Christ at the center. Christ should come first, not Kappa Phi. Christ should come first before school and everything. And your responsibilities for school should come before Kappa Phi as well. So don't allow Kappa Phi to overcome everything else. And know that I'm available. 3-hour difference, but I'm available.
Can I ask one last closing question?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot. Never mind. I forgot.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, well, let's bow our heads in prayer then. Lord, we just thank you for, again, allowing us to come together here today. Lord, we love you, and we love the direction that you are taking us in. Allow us to always remember to keep you first in our life, and allow us to be lights to others on campus, in our community, and the world around us, Lord. We just are so grateful and thankful for this sisterhood and the things that you allow us to do and allow us to grow in and through you. Lord, thank you for each and every one of these ladies sitting at this table, the work that they put forth, and their enthusiasm. Lord, I just love each and every one of them. And Lord, I can't wait to get someone out there to see them in person again, Lord. And I really just pray that I'll get to see even more of them this summer in Ohio. All this I pray in your holy Son's name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.